Good day, YouTube. This is Jay Money with Falling Forward Financial. Just a article here on a couple semiconductors. I've talked about semiconductors quite a bit here on the channel. Not as much as I talk about MJ, but I have talked about semiconductors. NVIDIA, Taiwan Semiconductor, AMD. I just did a video on them yesterday. And of course, my biggest holding is Intel. But this is Semiconductor Sales Growing on Soaring Demand for 5 fun picks. And so these will be some that I have not went over on the channel here as of yet. So the semiconductor sector has been on a tear over the past couple of years. Microchip demand has been on the rise thanks to an increased adoption in consumer electronics, automotive, industrial tools and equipment, and networking and communication goods. The demand got a further push during the pandemic as people worked and learned from home, and resulting in increased purchases of consumer electronics and networking and communication gear. However, rising demand has led to supply crunch for months, and that's the problem that we've been running into here as of lately. So microchip manufacturers, on the other hand, have benefited from the demand situation. Thus, funds like the Fidelity Advisor Semiconductors Fund class, Felix is the ticker, Felix, and I do not have any of these. I believe I have one ETF, no mutual funds. I got rid of them. The return wasn't there. I think it was a 10 or 20%, and I think my return on Apple is, 200 or 100%. It's quite more significant than some of the mutual funds that I had. But I do not own any of these. Would I purchase these? Yes. But I have not looked at them in depth. I just come across the article and just decided to do a video and just kind of see how it turns out and see who has these and kind of what reply we get in regards to this article. But next is Franklin Dynatech Fund Class A, ticker FKDNX, and Fidelity Select Semiconductors Portfolio, FSELX, are likely to benefit in the near term. According to a recent report from Gartner, global semiconductor sales jumped 25.1% in 2021 to $583.5 billion, crossing the $500 billion mark for the first time. Total revenues climbed $42.1 billion in 2021, accounting for 33.8% of the overall semiconductor revenue growth. DRAM had the strongest success within memory, with a revenue increase of 40.4% in 2021 to $92.5 billion. Strong demand from servers and PCs resulted in a DRAM shortage, resulting in double-digit ASPs for the most of the year. Microchip sales, that's a tongue twister, microchip sales are also getting a push from soaring demand from the 5G smartphone market, which I've talked about 5G numerous times here in regards to the Internet of Things, Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, which is probably my biggest holding, with unit manufacturing more than doubling to $555 million in 2021 and $250 million in 2020. Moreover, the growing demand, and here we are, for the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and virtual reality has seen. I've talked about IoT, artificial intelligence, and reality has seen the demand for microchips soar, which is a good thing. And I don't see that stopping anytime soon. Everything's got a chip. There's computers, cars, phones, laptops, everything's got a chip. I even have a NutriBullet that I blend some of my drinks in, protein drinks and stuff of that sort. It's got Bluetooth on it. Everything's got a chip or Bluetooth, and it's just the world we live in. So according to a recent study by Deloitte, the global semiconductor industry is projected to grow 10% in 2022 to reach $600 billion for the first time. So right there you have it. A good time to get in on semiconductors. Not that I give tax, legal, or trading advice, just stating my opinion. So, given the rising demand for semiconductors and continuing supply crunch, the semiconductor industry is only likely to benefit in the near term. So, just what I just said, semiconductors aren't going away. It's just going to get more and more. There's more EVs coming out, more cars. They all have chips. It's just endless. So, something I feel very good to invest in. That's why I've talked about semiconductors quite a few times here on the channel. We expect these funds to outperform their peers in the future. Remember, the goal of the Zacks Mutual Fund rank is to guide investors to identify potential winners and losers. And you can also do like I do. If you have a favorite semiconductor, AMD, Intel, Taiwan Semiconductor, there's several others. You can just invest in one stock. My biggest holding is Intel, just because it doesn't appreciate that much. You do get a decent dividend on it. It does appreciate, but it's not as much as some other stocks out there like Apple or Microsoft, things of that sort, but you do get a little bit of appreciation plus the nice dividend. So, but the first fund is the Fidelity Advisor Semiconductors class, seeks capital appreciation. We'll just call it Felix. Invests primarily in common stocks. Fidelity Advisor Semiconductors Fund Class normally invests at least 80% of its asset in securities of companies principally engaged in design, manufacture, and sale of electronic components. And I'm not going to read all of these to you. You can go right to the source on msn.com or pause the video and read over those for yourself. I'm just going to hit the highlights. So, Felix has Zacks Mutual Fund number one and an annual expense ratio of 0.77%, which is below the category average of 1.05%. So that is another thing to keep in mind with some of these, or actually all of these funds. They do have an expense ratio, so they're safer than single stocks, but single stocks do not have this expense ratio, so I will point that out. Next is the Franklin Dynatech Fund Class A, ticker FKDNX. And the way you can tell a mutual fund is they always have 5 letters, 5 symbols in the ticker. That's how I decipher them. So this sector, tech product, has a track of positive total return over the 10 years. Specifically, the fund's returns over 3 to 5 year benchmarks are 22.5% and 22.4% respectively. To see how the fund performed compared to its category and other number 1 and 2 ranked mutual funds, you can go ahead and click here. So obviously it's not going to work to click on the video, but again, Zacks fund number 1 annual expense ratio of 0.85%, where the other one was 0.77%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when it takes a chunk out of your money, it is annoying, which is below the category average of 0.99%. Next is Fidelity Select Semiconductors Portfolio, FSEL. So FSELX normally invests at least 80% of its assets in common stocks of companies principally engaged in the design, manufacture, or sale of electronic components, semiconductors, connectors, printed circuit boards, and other components. Equipment vendors to electronic component manufacturers, electronic component distributors, and electronic instruments and electronic system vendors. ZAC ranked number 1 and an annual expense ratio of 0.70, which is below the average of 1.05. And so that is the funds on this particular article, 5 fun picks. So again, if you have any of those, feel free to list those in the comments. Again, they're Felix, FKDNX, and FSELX. And so, like I said, if you have any of those, go ahead and list those in the comments. And if there's any other semiconductor stocks out there you want to see a video on or you're interested in, you can leave that in the comments as well. And I'll go ahead and link my other semiconductor videos in the description as well. So if there's any other videos out there you want me to, any other stocks you want me to make a video about, I'd be happy to do that as well. Just leave that in the comments. Comments are always welcome. Just all I say is just try to be somewhat positive. I mean, you can be truthful, black and white. Just try not to be too negative, but just trying to keep it positive here on the channel. But that is it for this one. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, go ahead and hit that for me, as well as subscribing and hit the bell so you're notified of when the next videos drop. Again, this is J Money, Falling Forward Financial. Happy trading, happy investing, stay green. Cheers.